Welcome to another study style session for the BJCP training program from the Brewers Anonymous Homebrew Club. We're continuing looking at Category 2 International Lager with 2B International Amber Lager. So let's start where we always do with the vital statistics. And for 2A International Amber Lager, we have an original gravity range of 1.042 to 1.055. A final gravity range of 1.008 to 1.014, IBU range of 8 to 25, an SRM range of 6 to 14, and the ABV ranges from 4.5 to 6%. All right, looking at the overall impression for this subcategory, it reads a smooth, easily drinkable malty amber lager with a flavorful caramel or toast character, usually well attenuated, often with an adjunct quality and restrained bitterness. All right, let's take a look at the characteristics and the details that we are going to be judging this beer against, starting with aroma. And for aroma, we have low to moderate grainy aroma, often with very low to moderate caramel or toasty malt accents. Occasionally nutty or biscuity, but never roasty. Low unobtrusive floral or spicy hop aroma, clean fermentation profile. For appearance, we have golden amber to reddish copper color, bright clarity, white to off-white foam stand, which may not last. Okay, going on to flavor. I'm not sure what that noise was I just made when I said okay, but yeah, I think you're still following along. Flavor, we have low to moderate malt flavor, often with caramel or toasty bready flavors. Low to medium low corny sweetness optional. Low to moderate bitterness, giving the beer a malty to fairly even balance. Low to moderate spicy, herbal, or floral hop flavor. Clean fermentation profile. The finish is moderately dry with a moderately malty aftertaste. The beer may seem a touch sweet if the bitterness level is low. And finally, mouthfeel. We have light to medium body, medium to high carbonation, smooth. Some examples can be slightly creamy. All right, so of course there's more to this that you can read on your own, but we are going to jump down to the almost bottom, just above the tags. Look at the commercial examples, and the commercial examples that are listed for this style. Again, we are talking about 2A International Amber Lager. We have Abita Amber Lager, Brooklyn Lager, Capital Wisconsin Amber Lager, Dos Equis Amber, Greenbelt Northeast, and Yingling Lager. Okay, sorry, that last one took me by a little bit of a surprise. Oh, interesting. Okay, I do have one. I have one right here. I do have... Sitting on ice, I have an Abita Amber Lager, and there we go. Just get a good look at it. And I got all kinds of props today. I feel like a prop comic teacher, although without the comedy. I have my International Amber Lager study sheet, flash card, whatever. I don't know if we decided on the name of those. I have my beer flavor wheel, and of course I got some blank score sheets here. Oh, what the heck, and a pencil. Going to be doing the whole score sheet, of course, but I'm going to do the initial findings of what characteristics I find right off the bat without any real diving into any evaluation of the beer. So let's crack this open first. There we go. Nice little hiss there. Hopefully it came out on the mic. All right. Let's see. Doing a fairly aggressive pour there. And that looks pretty good. All right. Look at that. All right. Let's go. Since I got it up at the camera, clarity is outstanding. Color, it's a little, again, just the camera seems to enhance all these colors. It's slightly lighter than what's coming out on camera, but it's a very nice, like in between, I think the descriptors that I remember. It's a kind of just this nice copper color, that little bit of off-white color in the head, and that's standing really nicely, more than I expected from what I just read. But let's get into some of the other character here. Oh, wow. That is a very... I was surprised by the color. The graininess that came out immediately was quite surprising. It was a little stronger than I expected. But behind that was a really, not faint, but not strong. I guess you'd say light, moderate caramel right behind that. That's actually quite pleasant. And there's even a little bit, just a hint of kind of that almost sulfur-like, but not quite exactly sulfur yeast character from lager fermentations. All that's in there, very discernible, but working very well together. Maybe a little bit of Light floral hop. I'm going to have to think on that a little more when I do my score sheet. Let's go to the flavor here quick. Wow, flavor follows almost perfectly in that description. First thing I get is kind of a dry, unsalted cracker, a little bit of grainy, almost a weedy taste, but not quite as strong as wheat or flour. That the caramel is actually probably lighter than the aroma, but it's definitely there, sweet aroma. Again, that crispness, there's a distinct crisp character that I attribute to it being a lager yeast, most likely. I obviously don't know what the ingredients are, but you would expect a lager yeast for an amber lager. And let's see, I did get some hop, we got bitterness on the end, but it's still there, but I believe it was stronger on the finish than it's lasting in the aftertaste. I'm going to find out right now. Yeah, it's definitely stronger. It's not harsh. It is slightly biting on the finish, just a little bit of a bitter punch, and then it just kind of goes away and lingers as a more of a smooth bitterness. Mouthfeel, it's just under medium body. It's really, actually, I take it back. It's more towards light medium body. Crisp, almost dry. Carbonation level is fantastic. I'm trying actually not to belch on the mic, which I can't promise is never going to happen in any of these sessions. Hopefully I'm smart enough to edit it out. And with all that said, let's take a look here. Here it is, the International Amber Lager card says I should have. So as far as aroma goes, we're looking for low to moderate grainy malt, absolutely. Low to moderate caramel or toasty malt accents, sure, definitely. Maybe a little more than low, but not moderate. Low floral, spicy hop. Okay, clean fermentation, absolutely. Appearance, golden amber to reddish copper color. I think it's right in between those two. Bright clarity. Yeah, this is really clear. White to off-white head that may not last. Well, okay, I'm glad it says may not last because otherwise it's not as thick as it was, but there is a very strong presence of all size bubbles on this still sitting here. I'm not sure if I'll be able to show until it's not really coming across as well as I'm seeing looking down at the cup. Flavor, low to moderate malt, often with caramel and toasty bready notes. Low to medium bitterness, low to moderate spicy herbal floral hop. That's about maybe the only thing I didn't get initially is any kind of distinct hop flavor other than just the presence of hops being in this beer. But we'll find out when I do a bit of a deep dive into this score evaluation. Clean fermentation, absolutely. Mouthfeel, light to medium body, yes. Medium to high carbonation, yes. Smooth, yes, absolutely. All right, I am going to pause the recording. I am going to grab my score sheet and my flavor wheel. I'm going to pick at least one thing from the flavor wheel to put in my score sheet, maybe more if I'm lucky. And please do the same. That's the whole reason for these study style sessions. Get your score sheet, get your beer, get your flavor wheel, and then come back when we return from the evaluation of this beer. All right, I am back. I've got my score sheet. Here it's all filled out. If you see, there it is, that little parenthetical there. That's not something you normally put on a score sheet. That's for my reference to remind me about something I did with the flavor wheel. So if you caught that, well, I pointed it out, so you caught it. But if you caught that before I pointed it out, that's not a normal thing you do on a score sheet. Just want to make that clear. Otherwise, I filled out everything out, which is one of our goals. I hope you did as well. If not, no problem. We've got plenty more to do. You'll get it. And all right, let's get started with the evaluation here. So for aroma, in this deeper look, I wrote moderate grainy cracker-like character with a moderately low caramel and dark sugar note. Low bready crust-like note as the sample warms up. So that's the word I used from the flavor wheel. The word is actually bread crust, but I used a form of it, which is, the goal was done. I picked something out of here. I used it in my descriptors. That's what the parenthetical is. I wanted to note that it was bread crust, but that was actually something I was trying to put my finger on. I was like, I know there's some bread notes in here, but it's not toast. What is it? When I saw bread crust, I was like, that's it. It's a little bit of cooked bread without being toast. So flavor wheel came in great for me this time. Very low floral pollen-like hop aroma. No ester-like notes, but a moderately low sulfur lager yeast-like character that's not overwhelming. And I gave that a 12 out of 12. This thing was... They got a lot of high scores on this as a spoiler alert. Appearance, light copper in color, brilliantly clear, medium-sized head on pour that lingered off-white in color. Head was slightly rocky with some large and medium bubbles. atop a layer of tiny and fine bubbles, and that was a 3 out of 3. On to flavor. Moderate, grainy, and bready flavor on the tongue and palate. A moderately high dark sugar and caramel note presents as the palate adjusts. No distinct top flavor, though there is a firm but pleasant bitterness in the finish. Lager yeast character tends to grow in a sulfur note as the sample warms up, and I gave that a 17 out of 20. On to mouthfeel. Medium light in body, highly carbonated with a pleasant carbonic bite that accentuates the overall character. A very delicate, near cream-like texture. Alcohol warmth is pleasantly restrained. No astringency, 5 out of 5 on that. And finally, the overall impression. And there's something I did here. Didn't plan to do it. I had to force myself to do it. And it's a good thing to share that I think for your judging exam score sheet practices. So we'll get to this right now. Overall impression, I wrote a very well-designed and well-crafted beer. Malt notes are extremely pleasant. A touch more hop character beyond bitterness would round out this beer nicely. Clean fermentation. That's where I originally stopped. I had 2.5 full lines of blank paper in front of me, and I was like, I need to write more. And at first, I was a little stuck for it. So I picked up the beer again. I did like a quick evaluation, even quicker than I do in the kind of quick compare I did with the those study cards. Quick went over the aroma, went over the taste and mouthfeel, found a couple things I could note to improve the beer and to fill in these lines, and I continued. I wrote caramel notes lend to a sugar-like character the more the beer is sampled. A slight reduction in specialty malts may help restrain that aspect. And with that, I gave more information to be judged on my judging score sheet or graded, I should say is a better word, to be graded. And I filled in everything. Filling in everything, I'm going to be the biggest broken record on this. It's the least you can do to help your grade. It's unless you are writing this beer is very, 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 very good 1,000 times. As long as you're saying something new with each sentence that you're filling in this sheet with, you are only doing yourself the biggest favor for your score. And I should say, I'm going off tangent a little bit. Score was 9 out of 10 on that. Giving it a 46, which I now believe is the highest beer. And I'll tell you what, this beer is every single point of that 46 for me. I really enjoyed this. So I'll wait till the end to finish that in cheers. And this is all that's left. I had a couple things I had to do before I came back, so I enjoyed the beer while I did it. But anyway, let's just show you the sheet again. Filled out all the pertinent information. When we got to the bottom, I filled out the matrix. They're all, that side, they're all the top check marks. And then I circled the score range. Man, I am really struggling with the mirroring on this monitor. I think you can see it. If not, the scan is like right next to me, so you can see it there. So, great example. If you can find one, obviously, if you can always find any of the commercial examples that are listed in the BJC guidelines, the better. If you can find one that we're doing in these sessions, that also benefits you too, because you can see how your palate and your sensory and your evaluation compares to someone else. I'm not saying either of us are right or wrong. It's just a nice litmus to have a comparison and see what your observations are compared to somebody else, so you know how you perceive things as opposed to how other people perceive things as opposed to yourself, is what I'm trying to say. And the more people you do that with, the better. And that's what our in-person session studies are going to be about. But if you're not able to make those, you can only do these virtual ones. It's absolutely better than nothing. It's getting at least one. I've said this again, and before, and I'm going to say it again. Getting at least one example burned into your brain, burned onto your senses that you can compare to come test time is only going to help you. It's something you can at least say, okay, I remember what was really, in this case, really on point for an Abita Amber Lager. If I'm judging an Abita Amber Lager for my judging exam, how is it like it, and how is it different, and maybe why, or what would I like it to be to get closer to that example when I get to my overall impression. So these are things we will talk about as we continue. We're only just now, I'm not even going to say we're scratched the surface. We kind of picked up the nail to go to the surface to scratch it on how many beers we're going to have to review in these study session styles. in these sessions. I don't even know what these are called. We're so new to this. So that's it for this one. If you're new to this entire program, if you just stumbled upon this video on YouTube or some kind of strange, really specific search engine search, and you haven't seen the entire BJCP training program from Brewers Anonymous Homebrew Club, go to learn.brewersanonymous.org and check it out. It's extensive. We're trying to make the most thorough, comprehensive training course available for free to get more judges, to keep this hobby alive and keep it thriving. And we'd love to have you join us and continue building that pool of really good judges for homebrewing. So that is it. We're not done with Category 2 yet. We're going to be back with 2C, Dark International Lager, and that is the session that is up next.